Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Paul Lopez.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Paul Lopez.
And I'm Sabrina Daly.
Good morning, Belize. Good morning abroad, everyone tuning in this morning. It's Tuesday, February 17, 2026. It's an exciting day to be alive, so I do hope that wherever you are, that you are having a fantastic start to your day. We have to say goodbye to our viewers on TikTok. We've been entertaining them for like the last 10 minutes, and now it's good. So long, farewell to you, my friend. I have to admit, Sabrina, I don't know how to turn this off.
I got you.
You go ahead and you deal with turning that off. But so we have some exciting conversations lined up for you all this morning. In our first segment, we'll be speaking with the Minister of Blue Economy, that's Minister Andre Perez, and he'll be speaking on plans and development for Rural South. That's his area that he represents in the House of Representatives, and Blue Economy, well, that's his ministry. And then in our second conversation, we have a Grammy Award-winning artist on set with us. Can you guess who that is? Yes, we're talking about none other than Moses Shyne Barrow, and he'll be back. He'll be talking about going back to where it all began as he reclaims his place in the spotlight. Not that he ever left the spotlight. And then in our third conversation, it's all about leadership and mentoring with Earl Arthurs. And last but certainly not least, we'll be taking a closer look at the 2025 Belize TrashBlitz report. And so these are the conversations we have lined up for you all this morning. Sabrina, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am not the best.
I understand you're a bit under the weather. Overnight, you just came down with some symptoms.
Yeah, I mean,
tell us, maybe we have viewers out there that can recommend medicine, something where you could.
Please, guys. I think it started yesterday when I was in the office and I was like, aren't you guys feeling so hot? You know, you remember that?
Yeah.
When they were both in there and they were like, no, it's freezing cold in here. And I was like, no, it's so hot. And then last night I had like chills, I had a fever. Wow. I had the most terrible headache, my eyes feeling so sore. It almost feels like COVID.
Yeah.
But I was not able to take
the break this
morning off. But I'm still happy to be here, so please bear with me.
No, we're happy to have you, Sabrina, and with a look for them bush medicine recommendation.
Yes, please.
Whatever recommendation and however remedies on the choice Sabrina away, we are nonetheless, we're going to get through this show and we'll make it as fun and as exciting as we
I'm definitely going to get some rest after. But here's what we have for you in terms of some of the things we think you should know before you leave your homes this morning. Starting off with operators face tougher standards, terminal fees. Celebrating Chinese New Year. Apparently this year is the year of the horse, and today actually is the Chinese Lunar New Year, so that's pretty exciting. Prime Minister Honorable John Bersenio has appointed Dr. Harold A. Young as the new ambassador and permanent representative of Belize to the United Nations office in Geneva, Switzerland. You would know that he was also here with us last week highlighting his latest book, and so this is big news for him as well. Also, police corporal pulled off duty in misconduct. This is Mr. Ball, who we saw make headlines for his dreadlocks, and we know that that's also something that's not allowed within the Belize Police Department. But he was placed on administrative leave. He was suspended with pay. That's what it was. And finally, are aliens real? Ex-President of the United States, Barack Obama, answers and breaks the internet. Do you think aliens are real? I know there are quite a few people who are conspiracy theorists. They believe that aliens are walking among us. And they also believe that in some parts of the world, in the United States in particular, that they are hiding it. They are making it one big secret.
Yeah.
But the former president shared his thoughts on it, and it also broke the internet. Paul, let's begin with perhaps something a bit more local with what's taking place locally here. I know yesterday you were at the presentation over at the Ministry of Transport, which was big news because it was another stage to the official launching of the Belize bus company, the National Bus Company. And that's huge. We know that there are quite a few bus operators who signed on, and so they now have shares in the National Bus Company, including the government of Belize and also some investors, namely insurance companies, I believe, as well as the Social Security Board as well. But for me, what stood out in that interview, the several interviews that you were able to gather, was that there would be new fees associated with the terminals as well for persons who would not have signed on to the National Bus Company.
Yeah.
I'm excited to, well, not excited, but I'm looking forward to hearing perhaps the pulse from the bus operators to see if they're buying into that, but it doesn't seem like it's something that's really an option at this point.
Yeah, it's not an option the way they presented it, simply because the bus terminals will now be owned by the National Bus Company, which is in part owned by the government of Belize and these 17 bus operators. So the explanation is that those bus operators, so 17, 31 minus 17 leaves you with how much? 14, 15 and 15, 30. Yeah, about 14. Yeah, about 14, right? So those bus operators that decided they won't be a part of the National Bus Company, well, they still have to use terminals, right? And so they'll go ahead and they'll use the terminals from the National Bus Company, which was...
Do we know how much it'll cost monthly?
No, they haven't established the fees as yet. It was a question that I asked yesterday, got an understanding that all of that is still in the works, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have to go ahead and establish that quickly, because according to the information we received yesterday, the National Bus Company will be up and running by March 1st.
Yeah.
So as of March 1st, this is...
With new buses and everything?
No.
New fleet?
No, not with new fleet. It's all phased. It's all phased, right? So there's a phased process, and we'll delve deeper into it today in the news. But it's a phased process where if you have to sign documents, you have to establish the company first, make it a registered company, sign documents, shares, and then they have a timeline between March and August to begin to bring in new buses, like electric buses, and the more extended timeline is all the way up to 2030.
Whoa.
Right? That's where you'll see everything completely fleshed out according to their plans, with new whole fleet of new buses, etc. But here's the idea, here's the concept, based on what they're reporting, is that by March 1st, you'll no longer see one way of improvement, buses racing each other on the highways. Why? Because they're now a part of one company, right? So like James Bus don't have to race another bus that takes the same route, because they're forming one company now. So they'll be more organization.
Well,
that's what they're hoping.
That's if they are a part of the National Bus Company, and if they
primarily, most companies from all directions in the country, except the north, are a part of the National Bus Company right now.
I want to go back to the rental fees, though, for the terminals. I personally think that's a good idea, Paul. When we think of, well, first off, I would imagine that the rental fees are for the upkeep of the terminal. Is that what it's for?
You remember, if you own the terminals, you don't have to pay a rental fee.
Yeah, but I'm talking about private, the private ones that wouldn't have joined on.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea when you think of, you know, how many people would have complained about the state of the terminals across the country. That's another way for the government to get further funds to invest in them.
I think so. I think it's also primarily about having skin in the game.
That's true.
Right? You're using the terminal, so you need to ensure that you can pay up something, since you are not contributing essentially to the National Bus Company and you don't have shares in the National Bus Company. And according to CEO Chester Williams, if they're going to utilize a booth, for example, then they'll also need to pay an additional fee if they want to.
What do you mean
use
a booth?
So ticketing booth.
Okay.
If you want a space in the terminal for a ticketing booth, right?
And they would still have to update their buses as well, right?
Yeah, and yes, and then the same standards will apply. What I really like about this, I love watching a vision get cast and then see it take shape, right? And slowly come to life. And for me, this is what I'm seeing with the National Bus Company. When it was first introduced, and there was a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. In fact, a lot of the companies were not buying into the idea. And yesterday, when we stepped into that press conference room, what I thought we were going to get was another sort of consultation press conference, but that wasn't the case. Yesterday, they were actually rolling out or beginning to roll out this National Bus Company. So it wasn't only the media and the bus operators, who, by the way, seemed way more united than they've ever been in this entire process. Everybody wore their T-shirts. Everybody had the National Bus Company logo on their shirts. But outside of the bus companies, the bus operators and the press, you had representatives from various agencies, non-government agencies there, private sector individuals there, senators there, people that have really bought into the vision or are contributing to see this vision come to life.
Well, speaking of united, I think there was a comment that was mentioned by Minister Zabanet that really struck me. He said that, of course, there are some companies that have still not bought into it, and some of that is just political. You know, it's simply because they're not aligned with the People's United Party, and so politics could really be the reason that is stopping them from buying into something that would ultimately develop their own business in the future.
I think, let me just quickly say, I think what's commendable coming out of yesterday is the details that were presented to the public. When we think about consolidation and we think about what's taking place locally in terms of consolidations here and consolidations there, one of the things that people have been clamoring for is for information to be made public. And except for what they couldn't release, I think that the Ministry of Transport was very clear. They were very transparent and accountable in providing the public with a lot of the information that the public would want to have and that they would want to know about this deal, including the fact that how the shares, how the equity will be shared amongst the different.
And that was from the start. They've been like that.
And that's from the start, right? And so it bodes well. We'll delve deeper into this today to give people a clear understanding of, for example, one of the questions people are asking is, how will this be funded? Well, they spoke about that yesterday. What will be the cost of one of these electric buses or a new bus? They gave details of that, looking at all the different options. In fact, coming out of those conversations, one electric bus manufacturer has indicated interest and even made a visit to Belize because they want to set up a manufacturing plant here in Belize.
Oh wow,
right?
That's amazing.
And so all of that is in the works. I sound like I'm buying into the dream. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm one of those who's being convinced, because I think it's partially good for the nation. But we also have to look at it critically as well, and that's something we'll spend some time doing today in the news.
I think if you've ever taken public transport, you understand why it's important for us to, just support things like this. I think for us, it's more the details that matter, though. And so in concept, we support the upgrading of these fleets. We support better structure, but we just want to know that it's a transparent process, and that seems to be the case so far. Well, let's move things along, Paul. As we mentioned, today is a pretty unique day for folks who subscribe to Chinese astrology. Today is the Lunar New Year, and it's also called the Year of the Horse. Well, apparently last year was the year of the snake, and if you ever follow these types of information, you would understand a little bit deeper of the significance of it. The Chinese New Year is a big deal. It's celebrated across the world, and it's apparently divided into different animals, right, Paul? And different animals would symbolize what the year you could expect in the year. And so my understanding was that in the year of the snake, there was a lot of shedding, there was a lot of challenges that you would have had to overcome. And in the year of the horse, which starts today, it symbolizes freedom. When you think of a horse, right, you think of endurance, you think of, well, it's also the fire horse too. You think of freedom in general. And so I think this is a really cool. For me, I like looking into these stuff. I like seeing how different cultures celebrate and acknowledge different parts of their identity. And so to see how a new year is shaped and what they would predict you can expect in the year, I think is really interesting. Yeah,
so one of the things I learned is that each year in the 12-year Chinese zodiac cycle, because it's a 12-year cycle, every 12 years the cycle is renewed, right? Each year is represented by an animal. So 2026, like you said, is the year of the horse. FYI, it's a fiery horse. We'll get there. But FYI, I was born in the year 1991, and I did my own little research, and I was born in the year of the goat. There's no surprise there, right?
Oh,
there's no surprise there. So for 20...
So you would have gone back 12 years?
No. I just went back to see what zodiac sign represented my year, the year when I was born. Because it's all, not only about the year you're in and what it represents, but the year you were born as well. It says something about the individual that is born that year, right? So for 2026, it's about the year of the horse, and it's specifically paired this year with the fire element, right? So you are right to say that it's a fiery horse, right? So it's kind of like a double combination sort of things, and this
wild,
right? And this only occurs, the combination only occurs once every 60 years.
60?
Once every 60 years.
That's crazy.
So it's very unique in that sense for those who are born this year, but it's also unique if you're thinking about your ambitions and your goals for this year. So here's what the horse represents. You said freedom. That's one of the things that the horse represents. The horse also represents vitality, right?
Okay.
And strength and ambition. So if you want to tap into the Chinese zodiac this year, then consider those routes as the best, right? Being ambitious, being strong, having vitality and freedom, right? The horse is seen as a year of boldness, right? Of taking action, decisive movement, and transformation. So people that are born in the year of the horse are described as energetic, independent, confident, and direct, right? Some notable names from that year include people like Gordon Ramsay. Does that match his personality?
That definitely matches his personality.
It does. But also Nelson Mandela.
Oh, I love that.
He was born in the year of the horse. And then one of my favorite actors from childhood, Jackie Chan.
Oh, okay.
He was also born in and these are all people that are upfront and confident and bold. So there's so much meaning to the year of the horse. It's not just, a zodiac sign for a lot of people across the
So
world.
apparently the year of the goat is associated with gentleness, kindness, and peace in Chinese culture. That is not Paul.
What year? What's
I'm the
your
year
symbol?
of the ox.
The year of the ox.
And that is symbolic with a person who is hardworking and honest.
Yeah, that's so not. That
That
is
is
you
a
in
lie,
fact.
don't know.
Yeah,
That
that
is
You
me.
threw me under the bus, Sabrina.
I'm
was
honest
trying
to a
but
fault.
I can't. Yeah.
All right, well, that's quite an interesting information there. Tell us, do you acknowledge the Chinese New Year? Are you using this information to guide your steps in whatever endeavors you might have this 2026? I was told that for the Chinese New Year, it's great for this year in particular. It would be a great idea to start a business as well.
Well, there you go. Ambition.
Yeah.
It's about ambition, right?
Yeah.
Taking that step, being bold.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move things along. We have time to jump into another one. We actually have to take our first break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will be joined by Minister Andrew Perez, and he'll be speaking on plans and development for Belize Rural South and Blue Economy.
In the heart of the Kayo district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easier for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
February is all about Honda. Get special pricing and discounts on all Honda products. Enjoy up to 25% off select Honda products and 20% off Honda parts. Don't forget your B-Bucks whenever you make a purchase. Love your Honda is all about deals and discounts on Honda products throughout the month of February. Only at Benquit Equipment Parts Service.
The NEBL bounces off with a big opening weekend this Friday night at the Belize Civic Center. The Biting Tiger Sharks goes head-to-head with the upstart Kayo Western Ballers in our 7:30 p.m. opener. Then in Game 2 at 9 p.m., the big bad Belize City Defenders will try to defend the city as they come under fire from the Orange Walk Running Rebels. At the end of the first and third quarter, fans will get a chance to win cell phones, TVs, weekend stay, plus more. The first 300 kids get a free popcorn. Ozzy the Clown will be clowning around the debut of the NEBL girls. And at halftime, the big $5,000 cash Ministry of Tourism, Youth, Sports and Diaspora Relations Shooting Challenge. The General Super G alongside Champion Squad out of Miami, No Fear DJs and more. On Saturday night, 8 p.m., we head to Belmopan at the UB Gymnasium as the Belmopan Trojans look to overthrow the new Warriors from the North, the Corazal Spartans. Giveaways all night, plus live performance by Vida, sponsored by the Government of Belize.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. We have joining us on set, no stranger, Minister of Blue Economy and a representative for Belize Rural South, Mr. Andre Perez. Mr. Perez, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thank you for the invite.
It's a pleasure having you on set this morning. There's so much we could discuss where Blue Economy is concerned and also where Belize Rural South is concerned. So we'll see how much we could get into during this brief conversation, but we're glad to have you on set this morning. When it comes to the Ministry of Blue Economy, speak a bit about how you've been seeing the vision you've set for the ministry and Belize by extension unfold over the years.
Certainly. First of all, thank you all for having me here. Certainly we want to speak about the blue economy and marine conservation. That is basically the portfolio that I hold. And indeed, there has been a vision that we have been working on. Much has been accomplished. More needs to be done, absolutely. With so many things happening as it relates to the blue space, as development, we have to be careful that we always find that balance, whether it's in the fishing industry, whether it is in the tourism industry. There's always the issue about development. And how does that tie into what is the blue economy and marine conservation framework that we have to make sure that we play a very critical role there as it relates to that sustainable growth that we want to go. Development, of course, is always something that the blue economy and marine conservation ministry always welcome. However, that we have to be careful in monitoring that we don't go into something that's called overdevelopment that can compromise the environment, and especially as it relates as well to infrastructure.
Overdevelopment, could you expand on that?
I'm sorry?
Overdevelopment?
Well, overdevelopment, when you're talking about, it's always good that everybody has plans. There's many foreign investors as tourism has bounced back. In fact, a growing economy in the past 5 years that has been at a fast pace. It has been more conducive for investment. So with that, we have a lot of investors who want to come in. So we are saying that we have to thoroughly vet them. That we don't want to be anybody, ABC, John, and Jane, everybody comes in and they want to invest. We have to really make sure that it is, especially as it relates to the blue economy and marine conservation, that it ties in to what is the blue economy framework, that it fits in, and that they meet the requirements that is required by mandated by law. So that's important.
Yeah.
Now, how would you explain, or how would you say success is being measured within the blue economy when it comes to creating jobs, for example, contributions to the overall GDP, and these sort of avenues?
Well, first of all, it is important that when we move forward, it's always about creating jobs, about positively affecting, impacting GDP growth. In fact, we all know that tourism falls almost as much as 40% of GDP comes from tourism, tying directly to what is the blue economy. All right, everything that is the blue space, right? And that we're talking about not only the resorts that we're developing, we're talking about fishing, sports fishing, diving, everything is related to the blue economy. So as it relates to what you're discussing, we have to look more for that as well. That also, we don't want to fall into what you call someone define it as extractive tourism. We have to be careful with that. By that we mean that we must be careful as a government that we act responsibly, that the benefits that we get from tourism and other things that come along with it, that directly goes to our people instead of just a small share falling to our people. For example, it's growing. However, our people cannot be left behind. There's the issue of housing, land. We have to provide it. So as we grow, it is important that our people benefit directly, not just the bottom share of having a job, gainfully employed. We've got to do more than that.
Still keeping on the topic of marine wildlife and some of the challenges that you have on your hand, Minister Perez, we recognize the extensive issue of the sargassum that has affected Belize and also parts of the region as well. How are you going about navigating this, knowing that it's inevitable?
Right, absolutely. The key word to say is inevitable. However, it does not mean we're going to sit on our laurels and say, well, we can't do anything about it. It's climate change. It's not only affecting Belize, it's affecting the entire region. We have to act proactively. So by all accounts, it's looking like this year is going to be another year there's going to be a high influx. I think recently we registered flow of what was the sargassum. Fortunately, because of the cold front that came in, it kind of drove it down south. It did affect a little bit of Placencia, but mostly in the Honduras section, they did get affected. So at this time, we're just buying time. However, we have formed what you call the National Sargassum Task Force that involves all the different stakeholders. And one of the things that we are doing is seeking funding. That's the most. And if you don't have any money, you can move forward. You can have all the plans and suggestions, because we're human beings. We all have suggestions. Do this, do that. Why can't we do blocks? Why can't we do this? That's good to suggest. However, we have to act. So as a government, we have to be proactive. And that was we are discussing about the Sargassum Task Force. We're implementing and getting equipment, laying out barriers in key areas, like example, San Pedro, Kikaka, and Placencia. It's all different. In the case of Placencia, I think we're about to get a beach rake, because over there the beach rake works better. The beach is more open and it's more, so that can work. Obviously, a beach rake cannot work in Kikaka, and Hamburg is key.
How does the sargassum issue affect these communities?
Well, it affects them in many ways. Apart from the industry getting affected, health concerns as well. The smell that it gives off whenever that sargassum arrives on shore, it starts to ferment. And you get all of these pungent smells that are very toxic. And not only health-wise, but affects just about everything, equipment, electronics, TVs, everything is being affected that have to quickly replace. So many factors that we are dealing with here.
Now, as the year progresses and we're looking at an influx of sargassum this year, you're seeking funding. What sort of amount do we need to really tackle the issue this year?
Well, in terms of funding, we got to be strategic. When talking about seeking funding, we can talk about getting how to clean up the sargassum. However, there has to be funding and investment as to what can we do with sargassum. That's the other point. We cannot be sitting and just seeking a myopic vision as if today we are going to deal with sargassum. We have to think a long term. The immediate plans right now is to tackle whatever is coming. However, we must have a long-term vision, and that is what we as a government working on, that we have to reach out to their different people who know how to use this sargassum and turn it into energy. So that is also part of the long-term plan that we have to do, because the sargassum is seasonal. However, we can't be just saying cleaning it up, and by the time it's gone, the cold season or the end of year come in, we sit down. We got to plan for that at 5 years, 6, 7 years. What can we do with this to live with it? It's here. We must learn to live with it, so we can harness that and turn it into energy. And that is something that we are working as a government, seeking different viable options that can work for us.
Any idea at the moment seems plausible and workable?
Yes, indeed. We are actually, from the Ministry of Blue Economy, we are working with a company that is presenting something to us that is working already in the areas of the state of Quintana Roo. And they are actually working with us, presenting a plan. Of course, they're investors. They are not just coming in and offering those, but they're saying that they can convert it into energy. The logistics is basically how do we collect the sargassum. It's everywhere. So we have to be strategic about it, the plans that come in. But if it does, it can do wonders, because what we're doing is capturing it outside in the waters, finding different key points, and setting up a plant whereby it can be used to convert in energy. Also including with that, looking at the trash as well. Garbage disposal can also be tied into it. So many people offering different plans. We as a government just have to see where is it's going to be working best, and as soon as possible as well, which is very important, right?
Does the task force assist communities across the country? Like, for example, in Placencia, where there were recent concerns about sargassum coming on shore, can a cash-strapped council like this Placencia Village Council lean on the task force for funding and support?
Absolutely. For example, the beach rake is given to the village council. That is something that comes via the task force, right, which is the beach rake coming in. So little by little, of course, we're not sitting with a pile of cash,
right.
But we have to out there and seek the funding is out there. Once you have a good plan, which we are doing and have in place, funds are available, but we have to have a good plan. They just can't say it comes to you, and we have to be accountable to it, make sure it's dispersed and reaches out to the people. So that's how it is.
What's the next step for Belize in marine conservation? We have been recognized as a leading force in the blue space. We have boasted of our efforts, but we have to always think of new ways to take it up a level.
Well, as you know, Belize is at the forefront, recognized not only regionally but worldwide as it relates to conservation, especially with the advent of the blue bonds that came in. We scored big on that one in terms of what funding that arrived, and we were able to balance to kind of manage back our loans, our debt portfolio to manageable levels. It also entails that the commitment was that we had to have 30% of our waters under some form of conservation. we're well on our way to meet it. However, to what you're mentioning is that means that more waters need to be placed under some kind of conservation. So from the from the blue economy, marine conservation comes in the picture of what happened to our fisher folks. They are getting more and more displaced. So we as a ministry have to find that balance, that we have to find alternatives. Traditional fisher folks will sometimes they're used to what they do. We do not want to displace them, that is important. However, we must find a way how to educate them, how to offer them different solutions, how to fish more sustainably. And that is part of what, in the big grand picture of the marine conservation, blue economy and marine conservation is all about, is to find these types of alternatives. Case in point, as I mentioned earlier before, in the case of the banning of net fishing, gill net, that was banned. But that was a classic case of what was done back then on trying for the gain of getting this name of banning gill net, and you have a trophy in your hands, and then your fisher folks down there are suffering. Right. They were displaced. Just a little bit of cash was offered to them. And that was a classic case and a classic example of what not to do. Certainly in the future, we as a government do not intend to do that. We must find options, and we do have, right, as it relates to what we can do for our fisher folks. And at the same time, we have to make sure that fishing remains viable and sustainable. That comes under the responsibility of the fishing department. The fisheries department that constantly is doing the stock assessment. They do a fine job there. I really want to highlight that, commend the fisheries department, as well as the Coastal Zone Management Authority Institute. They do a lot of work, although they come under a lot of fire by some of those NGOs who I think it's very unfair to do that. But they have an extensive amount of data that we're always sharing. They do their work. They do their work, and that's one of the reasons why, at this point in time, the fishing industry is very much thriving and is recognized not only in the Caribbean but indeed in Central America.
How did you all address the criticisms that arose in late 2025 when a group of fisher folks and association representatives got together to essentially push back against the expansion of these marine protected areas? How did you all navigate that, understood that further consultations were to be had?
Well, that was one of the things that we did. Was actually we did consultation. We did our work, that we went out there to consult with our people. I recall the fisheries department did that time. As our mandate is requested by whenever we have commitments, that is what needs to be done, is consultation. And at times we have good attendance, at times no. But sometimes I believe that one of these NGOs, some of them have their own agenda. And that sometimes they go around doing these things to create fire that is unnecessary, giving us all this, that the sky is falling down, that there's fish stocks are depleting. We got to be careful and responsible, and the media as well. They need to be responsible to make sure they go back and get that information. You want the right information, it's available right there in the ministry, not as opposed to someone who goes there and blasts out and says fish are dying, or the fish stock is going down. Indeed, it's growing. More people want more fish. The price of fish is up right now. I believe it's the last time the check was $15 a pound for a pound of fish. It is. However, that does not mean that we're running out of fish. It's just that the demand is there. But we must be mindful that what is out there, we have to do it by way of a fish stock assessment that is done every year by the fisheries department. It's done for just about everything.
What the Flat Fishers Association were essentially saying was that the areas that were designated for increased expansion under the Blue Bond, that those areas are used heavily or a lot by fisher folks, and therefore they would be disenfranchised.
You're talking about that area down south.
Right, so certain parts down south.
Yes. Indeed, they have a point. They have a point about there, no? Certainly that's something that we just ignored. But they had a point, and we were discussing with them. And I agree that the flat fishing industry is a very lucrative industry. It brings a lot of money, right? But again, the fisher folks as well, that has been a traditional waters where they fish. So we have to find an alternatives for them. We just can't displace. We have to include important, all Belizeans are included in this as we move forward together. But they had a valid point. And the same thing, it's not only right there, it's all over the country. Up north, the same thing in Ambergis Key and Keycock, flat fishing industry. We have to be very careful how we work with them. They are, it's a very fragile industry. So we have a responsibility that it is safeguarding, that it is preserved, and that it is sustainable, and that is actually thriving. That is important.
And it wasn't only them, but a part of their criticism, the entire group that came together, a part of their criticism was also to the extent that the government basically signed on to something with international bodies and partners, and then brought it to Belize and the fisher folks and say, hey, this is what we signed on to. Now we must accomplish these tasks and these objectives. My question is, how are we progressing with accomplishing those objectives under the Blue Bond agreement?
Well, first of all, let me clarify it. I don't think it went that way, you know. It didn't really exactly go that way. There are commitments, as I said, we need to do. However, that part of that, we have to take it to our people. It doesn't mean that we're ramming down their throat, right? So let's be clear, that didn't really happen. At times we feel like that. However, in the grand scheme of things, we have to make decisions sometimes, especially where we met the government at the time. We have to make bold decisions to move forward. And back again to that Blue Bonds commitment that we did. If we did not do that, we wouldn't be here today as what we are as a government and as an economy. Right?
So how are we in terms of meeting the objectives? I believe we had an objective to meet, or a deadline that's either upcoming or has passed.
Certainly the milestones 4 and 5 is on its way. Everything is on track. By all means, that we have done our part as meeting the commitments and other aspects of the blue economy and marine conservation. I really want to thank again the Fisheries Department and the Coastal Zone Management Authority Institute for the great work they're doing. They are actually workhorse that they are doing this work, making sure these commitments are met. So by all accounts, we're doing well.
Excellent.
I want to take things over to your work as area representative in Belize Rural South. We were able to get a comment from you, I believe it was last week, on the constituency funds, and you spoke of some of the challenges that area representatives would face, or standard bearers would face, where their funds are concerned, trying to stretch it for everyone. Let's expand on that a little bit, Mr. Perez. Talk about how you have been able to try to meet the needs of your constituency, of the two communities, San Pedro and Keycocker, with the resources that you have.
Okay, first of all, let me start off by stating that I think with the coming up of the idea of the constituency development funds for all standard bearers, including the opposition, just to make sure, right, to be clear, that is something that demonstrates something, the government being responsible. I want to commend the Prime Minister as well for coming up with this brilliant idea. And I say it's a brilliant idea because back then, in previous administrations, you had your rep has to do just about everything. When they're reaching out to you, you have to find those fundings. Certainly, you have a salary, but your salary is designed for you to survive with your family, right? So how do you go around helping people, right? How do you assist people? That lends itself to going out to those people there. In politics, you have to have funding to move forward. And certain people that give you funding expect something in return. So that is what I'm saying that is what you're doing is actually you are tying that politician to expose him, or him or her, to commitments later on that sometimes can put him or her in a precarious situation. With the CDF funds now is that you are actually getting funds, taxpayers funding, that is going towards a good cause. Your accountability, that is the most important thing. Though that funding has to be on a monthly basis submitted. If my office does not submit those receipts, how it was spent, I won't get the rest of the funds on the monthly. All right? Now,
so you mean you can't bypass the system or leave it and say, you know what, FinSec, or you know what, CabSec, I really can't do it right now, but give me the funds in the next month, man.
No, you won't. Not at all. If you don't have those paperwork, that is plain and straight. You don't have your paperwork, so you don't get it.
But how do you manage to stretch what you get?
Well, of course, we have to discuss a budget. For example, I have limits. For example, I have a very efficient staff in San Pedro, which is my political office. We do plan, as I mentioned earlier. There are several senior folks that we assist them with. There are many people who need to travel to Belize who can't afford it. It costs almost $75 to $80 round trip to just go and do something. We provide the services of getting to the registry. That's part of the services that we do. Many people who need medical assistance. There's always for sports as well. Sports. The students, that's a big part of it as well, is to assist students, even though the high school right now, 2 years ago, we scored whereby they get free tuition. That was huge. That is almost 775 students who get free education. And by the way, this year, Ocean Academy, starting this new school year, they will be getting free tuition as well. But back to the CDF funds, it just goes about everywhere. So that figure, I can tell you, it's never enough. I'm always flying low every month. I'm flying low to see where else I can have those funds to assist the people.
My understanding is that the government has approved the construction of an airport in northern Ambergris Key, which, by the way, is perhaps one of the most booming real estate areas in the country right now.
Yes, that is true.
So the government has approved the construction of an airport. Can you tell us more about
Absolutely.
that?
It's an agreement with IDB, whereby, in fact, the area has been identified, and it will be in conjunction with the Social Security, because the Social Security has about almost, I believe it's over 2,000 acres of land there. I was the one actually that was pushing for it, because there were different areas that were identified to be having the international airport. Originally, they were talking about an area called Bassel Jones. That is about 17 miles up north. And I was saying that I was way too far. I don't think it would be tying in, that it was not making any sense. And then there was some private lands in the western part of Ambergris Key that was also looking as a favorable place. But it was private land, so that was putting it in a place whereby, we were committed already. So the most ideal part, and as recommended by COSESNA and ICAO, is that to do your runway, you need it east and west. So the best place there is a place that the Social Security lands have. And we are thinking of planning, in fact, the designs are there, and it's been approved and accepted by IDB to build this airport. Is going to be somewhere around between 7,000 feet or so, runway. It's not designed for those big airlines to come in, certainly for regional aircrafts that can come in, for the region. But the most important thing that we are missing out on is this lucrative industry called the fixed base operations. Bahamas does well with it. So the fixed base operation is whereby we cater to private aircrafts. There's a niche market of these very well-to-do people around the world who love to travel. They don't have time to spend at PGIA and do all the rounds. What the fixed base operation offers is that they can fly directly from anywhere in the US or anywhere and fly directly to Ambergris Key, because it is an international airport certified, whereby everything is available there: immigration, customs, Baja, whatever that is needed. There's a company there who will be able to provide that entire service. So that private aircraft can land, and in 15-20 minutes clocked out, they're out of there, and the next half an hour they're in their condo enjoying the Caribbean Sea. That is a lot of money that we can make from, and we're missing out on that. And having someone to fly from the USA and want to go to San Pedro has to fly into PGIA to check in and leave their plane there and catch a small flight. That is something that is cumbersome for them. So we need to cater that and take it there to San Pedro.
When does construction begin? My understanding is material is already being secured.
Everything is in place right now. I think everything was being signed up last year. I was presented. I think by July we're supposed to be everything happening. Not only the airport, we're talking about the development of the entire infrastructure. We're talking about roads, we're talking about lights, water, the sewer system that's coming in. It's a huge investment. So on my side, I'm preparing already for getting lands for our people. That is the most important thing.
That's really important.
Speaking of investment, there's also a hospital that's in the works as well for Kikaker. Can we also talk about that?
Yes, the hospital is being built at the southern part of San Pedro Ambergris Key, and certainly is there to cater and designed to cater for Kikaker as well. Yes, so the hospital is coming up. It's an investment over $30 million under the auspices of the Republic of China, Taiwan, that they provided that as a grant, and it's huge. So that has started.
That's on the screen
that's
there?
it. That's one of the latest pictures right now. It's already coming along real fast.
When is this expected to be completed?
Everything is going on time, and the contractor tells me that we're set for maybe the grand opening in December of this year.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a 30-room hospital. It is going to be the most modern in the entire country. I do know for a fact the statistics or the figures that the CEO for the Ministry of Health says that they will need. It will require permanent staff of over 250 people to make this hospital run. So it's very impressive. We're excited that this is going to be finally something that was long overdue for that area, now including Kikaker as well. So we're really excited. It's coming along, and also it has room for expansion. It is in a 5-acre plot that eventually, if there's need for to build quarters for doctors, nurses, it will be able to cater to do it. So it's designed for it.
I want to go back quickly to what you mentioned about securing land in northern Ambergris Key for your residents, because what we're observing, and a lot of people have said it, it appears as if lands in northern Ambergris Key are being priced way too high for locals to own a piece of paradise. Do you view it that way, with the real estate booming on that side, Secret Beach, foreigners coming in and investing, and locals feeling disenfranchised where owning a piece of land is concerned there?
I want to agree with you in a certain extent. That was happening under the previous administration, whereby land actually the prices went sky high, and displacing basically our locals without getting a piece of property. And when finally they did get a piece of property, there was no infrastructure, there was no roads, no nothing. And that in itself is what we right now, as a government and as a people, we're suffering to play catch up, when these lands should have been given a long time ago to our people to work. And that is why right now, as we speak today, Ambergris and Kikakar, because we're islands, the demand for employment is very high. But the issue is that where do you stay? If you're going to pay 50% of your salaries to rent, it is not feasible. It's not viable. So that is something that should have been solved a long time ago. So this is what we are doing right now, and we're not giving up. I'm not complaining and blaming. However, is that we realize in the next 5-10 years as we grow, certainly we have to make lands and affordable. And we have been given lands to our people, as much as 800 lots have been given out, affordable. Now the roads are coming in. That has begin to really start working. Part of that and plan that we discussed with the airports is opening up of that road. So we are already doing the work. It won't happen in the next 6 months or so, but certainly in 1 year, 2 years time, there will be roads, lights, and water for our people up north. But having a piece of land right now, we have already 800 locals who have access to a piece of land that they have paid for, and they have, so that in itself is high value. They are able to go to the bank and borrow if they want to build their homes. But sadly, I've seen different areas whereby certain people get a piece of land and next week they're selling it.
Because it's a very lucrative business, real estate.
Yeah.
I have to ask quickly before we wrap up, Minister, when it comes to Ocean Academy, how did we get to where we are today with students having to go to restaurants and bars to have class sessions, and what's the medium and long-term plan?
Okay. Well, before that, even before we talk about the medium and long-term plan, the immediate plans right now, what we need to do. I tell you this, Ocean Academy was born, and we need to understand the history. Ocean Academy was born as a private little school by some good people in Kikaka who said, you know, there's enough children traveling to going to San Pedro, to Belize City, and it's costing. So came this family that wanted to start this high school, and it started private. And they started doing it private, and eventually they were growing. And eventually the government of the day stepped in to provide salaries, which they still do right now. And it was done in just a home. It was a building. It still is a building in a back area there that is very low-lying. And that's where it started. And it started to grow, burst by seams, and almost 170 students being there. When we entered government, I was there, we realized that it was serious in terms of the building was sinking. Yeah. It was not safe. When it rained, it got flooded. The bottom floor eventually had to be abandoned. I personally was working a lot with them in terms of providing funding to fix the stairs, to fix that. But you just can't be funding something that is a building that is coming. So fast forward to where we are right now is the need for the high school. Yeah. But the funds have been secured. That was one of the most important things, is that the funds was there for many years, but it was never accessed. Now it was tied in also with the high school that is going to be built in San Pedro as well. I think it was designed for a primary school, a junior college, and a high school. But now the funds have been separated, and we do have a date to confirm that the Ministry of Education is going to be going on the ground. But certainly this year is also something that we're going to start building the new high school. That's for sure. It's going to happen this year to build. And I understand it's going to take about maybe 13 to 15 months to build. But certainly that is immediate, so we can't look at that as long term. It has to be now short term. There's no other way to say we're going to build a high school next year. It has to be this year.
Yes. All right. Well, Minister Perez, this has been a wonderful conversation. We thank you for the time that you took to come and speak to us and to our viewers by extension. As we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, thanks again for having me. It's just that thanks for the invite. In the grand scheme of things, when you're busy working, you concentrate your efforts, and then all the good things that you do, especially when it comes to social media, it gets blinded. Everything is just about waking up in the morning and they're blasting you out and showing you're not doing a good job. So today I think is something that highlights at the national level. There are many good things that are being done in Belize, so, and especially we're talking about the ministry as well, where we are making a lot of, we're really making a difference in everywhere we go. Especially Kikaka and San Pedro right now, with the roads that are coming up, the infrastructure. We built a brand new bridge in the last 5 years. The bridge was about to collapse along jointly with the town council. We've paved over 9 miles of road. So I do not see where we can say that not much work has been done. The town is growing, Kikaka is growing, but the issue remains that we understand what are the challenges. Land is an issue, so we're not ignoring that. Especially Kikaka, there's no land for these people. So it's in that context that we want to move ahead and understand that there are challenges, but certainly that myself, I feel comfortable that I can concentrate and do the work and focus. There are different areas that I can concentrate on instead of looking at the bigger picture and running around like with no heads. I like to remain focused on certain plans that we do. Once you do that, you'll always be successful. So with that said, thank you very much.
Thank you too, Minister.
All right.
All right, so with that, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we have an interesting conversation. We have a one-on-one with none other than Grammy Award-winning artist Shyne Barrow. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Tech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Full Tech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy Inc. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Full Tech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
GBM is turning the spotlight home. All Belizean, all day, every day. We're bringing to you more local and regional programs than ever before. Relive the classics you love. Plus, enjoy brand new stories that celebrates who we are, our people, our pride, our Belize. So whether you're at home, in the office, or on the go, keep GBM on, because now more than ever, Belize is on TV.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Each year, it's our honor to be a part of what makes your family Christmas dinner special. we work tirelessly to deliver the most natural, juicy, and delicious turkey every year. 50 years of excellence. Quality poultry products. Quality time is family time.
Finally, a postpaid plan for 3 people. Introducing Smart Trio. Why pay for mobile service alone when you can share and save? Get unlimited national calls, text, plus 100 gigabytes of shared data. And the best part? It's only $135. That's right, as low as $45 per person. Perfect for small families, couples, or close friends. Smart Trio. 3 lines, 1 smart choice. Sign up now and you could win a Trio getaway to San Pedro for 3. Visit us at www.smart-bz.com for more information or sign up at any showroom today. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. This is our second conversation for this morning. And as we promised, we have joining us on set entrepreneur, political servant, Grammy Award-winning artist, none other than my brother, Shyne Barrow. Good morning, sir.
Hello, babes.
Hello. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm blessed. Good morning to all of the viewership, everyone in Mesopotamia and the wider Belize, and to you and the staff here.
You recently traveled back to Belize. You're outside of the country, correct?
Yes, I returned to Belize over the weekend.
Now, let me ask, just to kind of set the tone, what has life outside of politics been like for you?
It has been wonderful. It has really been a blessing. I have been so fortunate to have a career outside of politics, in entertainment, entrepreneurship. I was just telling you, my good friend that I've known for over 30 years is coming to Belize, partnering with me to open a Brooklyn Chop House, which is a famous restaurant in New York, Miami, and Dubai. And we're going to do that with a resort. And, you know, I have my new album and memoir and film projects coming. And I have a very special 25th anniversary tour that will commence May 2nd in King's Theatre, Brooklyn, New York. So things have been fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to touch on these things. So where the entrepreneurial aspect is concerned, you're talking about investment in restaurants here in Belize.
Yes, resorts.
Resorts as well.
Yes, tourism shops.
Tell us a bit more about how those plans are coming along. Are we looking at Ambergris Key?
Yes, San Pedro and Placencia.
Yeah. How are those plans coming along?
Coming along, purchasing property, you know, getting everything, the logistics off the ground as far as concessions and everything that we need for the development. I had been, every time I traveled to the States, when I was leader of the opposition or thereafter, I'm always pushing all that I come in contact with, friends or associates, to come and invest in Belize. And you know, finally I'd been telling Robert Cummings, who is the owner of Brooklyn Chop House, let's do a resort and restaurant, tourism shop at 2 of the primary locations in Belize. And he and a group of investors have agreed to partner up and come down. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Entrepreneurship is nothing new to you, correct? It's
Since I was 20 years old, I owned my publishing company. I was one of the only artists not to have to give his publishing to Bad Boy Records. And ever since I've had my production company, I was signed to my production company as an artist. Then I did the deal with Bad Boy Arista, and thereafter I just continued to evolve. I went from having a joint venture with my publishing company to administration, where I owned 85% and just gave them a 15% fee. And I did joint ventures and distribution deals. Now I have a distribution deal with Warner Music Group and deal with Disney. So very fortunate.
Does moving away from the thick of politics and more into entrepreneurship and back into music feel like a relief, or do you miss the rigors, the day-to-day, the grind, the hustle of being at the center of the political?
Well, I haven't moved away from politics. I'm very, very much committed to serving the people of Mesopotamia.
At the level that you were before.
To serve the country. Well, levels are relative. It's all perspective. I believe that your contribution that you have to make can be impactful regardless of the particular office, but I do believe that I have a great impact to make in the legislature, fighting for policy, because that's one of the things that I'm not hearing right now. I am hearing the opposition criticize everything that the government does, which is fine, making a lot of noise, but I'm not hearing them say that they won't acquire SpeedNet should they come to office. I'm not hearing them say that they won't engage in this particular policy that the PUP is engaging in, and this is our policy. I have yet to hear what a government, a UDP government led by Tracy Pantan would do and not do. All they've been doing is telling us what is wrong with the current administration. And as far as the BTL acquisition, I mean, everyone was repulsed by, I'm not so sure the merits of the acquisition, more so the way Lizarraga went about propositioning. I don't even think he tried to proposition the public. His position was that he was just going to Ramos the deal, and that really offended the public, because it is a public company with private shareholders, if you will. So I think everyone was disgusted by the approach to that, because I will say, again, and this is why I will never walk away from political service. I will never walk away from being a patriot and giving my opinions, because we don't need another opposition to take the reins and do worse than the government they criticized. And that is why we need to elevate to a level of policy-driven debate, not just what is wrong with the PUP. We all know what is wrong with the PUP. Tell us what is right with you, what your policies will be, spell them out very carefully, so that when you get there, we can judge you based on delivering on the policies.
What ends do you still have with the party, or have you been shut out completely?
Well, again, I go back to this BTL acquisition and my concern about the future of Belize. While no one has criticized John Briceño and the PUP administration more than I used to shut down the House of Representatives, I know the Speaker is probably happy that I'm no longer there, because I used to give her quite great consternation. I have to be fair, and then I have to put the spotlight on the hypocrisy of the current leader of the UDP. Because while she talks about the BTL acquisition, which all of us are offended on how the chairman of the board has approached it. But when you talk about that being a corrupt deal, I have to point out to the public, as they decide in which direction they'll move the country, Tracy Panton was the minister who approved or was a participant. I believe the ministry was divided in two, and she was given responsibility specifically for Bolido. And we all know that Bolido was, allegedly, I have seen some proof, and I think there's been an admission by the former Prime Minister's family member. That is a matter of fact. That Bolido was majority or partly owned by the former Prime Minister family member. And Tracy Panton is the one that facilitated that deal. No, I don't believe that the former Prime Minister Barrow had anything to do with putting a Bolido deal together to benefit his family member. I believe him when he says that he didn't even know that his family member had shares in Bolido. So how now do we, or does Tracy say that because Jaime Briceño owns Smart, that John Briceño is the one that is trying to facilitate this deal, and this deal is corrupt and it's filled with nepotism, when she was the minister in charge in the Ministry of Economic Development, and she was a part of the Bolido deal.
Well, for my sake, I'll just have to fact check that.
Yes, you fact checked it.
I'm not certain, so I'm not supporting that.
You don't have to support what I'm saying.
Until I fact check. I don't want to attract any sort of.
Yes, I speak with qualified. I speak with qualified information. But the point I'm saying, this is why I will continue to be involved, because what we don't need is continued hypocrisy. We don't need exactly what the last administration did, which was point out everything wrong that the Barrow administration was doing, but then come in and not do quite better. So, and then further, internally, Tracy has been everything but transparent, has been everything but inclusive, has been everything but consultating, has been everything but consensus building.
Some of the same accusations
that she's making, no, that she's making against, but that she's making against the board of BTL. Because again, it is the board of BTL that even under the Barrow administration, as far as I knew, was looking at acquiring SpeedNet and other competitors.
One of the things I think we've established and we're establishing here is that that political vigor remains in you, and it remains alive and well, right?
Absolutely.
And so I want to transition just quickly over to your music and what you're doing with your new album. Are you in the studio these days laying down lyrics to tracks?
Yes, I just left Los Angeles. I was there for a few weeks. We were privileged to work with Dr. Dre.
Okay.
And I've been collecting beats from my favorite producers, RZA, Swiss Beats, Timbaland, some of the legends and some of the newer artists and producers. So yes, but first and foremost is getting ready for this May 2nd King's Theatre 25th anniversary performance.
I think when...
So all my Belizeans living abroad in the New York tri-state area, I look forward to seeing you there so we can celebrate 25 years of the Shyne album.
So that's the King's Theatre in Brooklyn on Saturday, May 2nd.
Yes.
And it begins at 9 p.m. based on what I'm seeing here.
Yes.
And this is also in tandem with your 25th anniversary.
This is the launch of my 25th anniversary. tour of my first album, the Shyne album, which came out in 2000, September 26.
We expect to see some big names take the stage that night, correct?
I am so excited to get on the stage and perform that that is a footnote of what may be. So I am more interested in engaging with an audience that has loved me loyally for so long. The fact that I could sell out, King's Theatre after all of these years is a testament to a loyal fan base. So I'm happy to just get on stage and just locking with them.
What do you think it would be like being on stage after so long and having had so much different transitions in life, to say that who you were back then is not who you are today?
Well, who I was back then was a youth, 19 years old, 20 years old, like Frost God or Stig the Artist or Britney Starr or Yastalia, DJ Perf. A youth trying to find his way, chasing his dream. And a youth living in urban warfare. We used to call Brooklyn Vietnam. I don't know much about the gentrified Brooklyn of today. But that youth had so much ambition, so much promise. And I am the realization of that promise. Because when people try to put me in a box, I reject it. You can be any and everything. There's no limit to what you can be. So when you see me today as a former leader of the opposition, former leader of the UDP, former member of parliament, there's no reason why I can't still be a great musician who gives passionate performances and take my 47 years of experience, but the maybe 23 or so since leaving the music industry, and pour that into a performance and really create a magical experience for those who appreciate my work of art.
How do you describe the adoration and the legendary status that you hold in the US for Belizeans looking on that may not be familiar with that level of adoration that you get when you go over there?
Yeah, it's not to be explained. I did an interview with Nessa Diab. She's a host on the #1 radio show Hot 97. She's married to former NFL great Colin Kaepernick. And she asked me, what do I want my legacy to be? And I told her to be a great dad to my daughter Naomi. Hello Naomi, Daddy loves you. Also to my goddaughter Zav. But to be a great father to Naomi, and to be a great servant to the people of Belize, to have made transformational impact for the people of Belize. That is a process and a journey. So there is so much for me to do for Belize. And I'm doing it every opportunity I get. Yes, it's nice when Bad Bunny shows a flag, but when Shyne go front of millions of people, Shyne say Belize, and make them know Belize and tell them if it conda Belize. And I have a code switch because I can't talk, the Creole, they not understand me. And so, what I have built in the United States took time.
Decades.
Yes, and so building that in Belize is not necessarily my ambition. I know what I have to contribute to policy shaping, to investment, and I will just do that. And then maybe when I am 70 or, about to transition to the next realm, people may appreciate, they may not, but I can tell you there's nothing more satisfying than promoting Belize, marketing Belize, nothing more satisfying than helping Belizeans. I still do philanthropic work in Belize, Mesopotamia in particular. I was working with the Belizean American group led by Opal Enriquez. We did a reading room in Wesley and in Cayo in Canaan. And so every month I give out a laptop. I'm going to give out a laptop today. I have to give out 2 actually because I missed last month because I was in the States. And so there's nothing more satisfying than helping my fellow Belizeans, because I remember when I was young and poor with a single mother, just her and I fighting to survive in Brooklyn. And America gave me a host of opportunities.
So how can...
So for me to give those opportunities to Belizeans is my life's journey.
How can you do that in the music industry to get to kind of build a bridge so that Belizean artists can enjoy or at least be exposed to that level and that standard of the music industry that you've been exposed to?
Well, I've done that. I can't do more than give Stig a song with DJ Khaled and Davido. Not too many people on planet Earth have the benefit of getting a DJ Khaled feature and a Davido feature. I've taken Stig to BET. I've taken Stig to Miami with DJ Khaled. I'm taking Stig to the International Music Conference in Jamaica, of which I'm a keynote speaker in a few days. I can't do more than that. It is really, I work closely with DJ Perf as well. I'm always helping so many artists financially. We have to do it collectively. It has to be in the collective consciousness of Belize, the private sector, as well as the government. But the private sector is very important. The Jamaican music industry developed because of the private sector.
Investing.
There were many people in the private sector who believed in their heart and soul that even if they lost millions of dollars, they would invest in Jamaican music. And that is what I encourage my fellow Belizeans who have the means, who have the millions, that our art, our musicians are worth investing in. So I am doing my part, and I will continue to do my part. But I can only do so much. At the end of the day, you can't try to be successful in the United States if you're not successful here. So we need to embrace our Belizean musicians more, and the investors need to put more money into the Belizean artists so that we can create a world-class product. Stig does a great job. He's an entrepreneur. Him and Richie Galvez, they're partners, they're business partners. And he's a great entrepreneur. And one of the things I did when I did deals with him and Super G and others, we did entrepreneurial deals where they're responsible for their success. I am just, as you said, a bridge. But it's a long journey. But I am certainly doing my part to help. When I was ambassador of music, I poured a tremendous amount of my resources into the orange sector. I will continue to do so.
As we wrap up this conversation, Sabrina wanted me to put you on the spot a bit, right?
Even asked me about the Grammys, asked me about Africa. I was just there with Ryan Coogler, who directed Sinners and...
Well, we don't have all the time, unfortunately. So I can't ask you
about
everything.
talk to the minister for an hour.
No, me talk to the minister. Listen, right?
Minutes?
So I have the lyrics to 2 of your old tracks, and Sabrina wanted me to put you on the spot a little bit. I'm going to quote one line from each one of these songs.
Sure.
And you finish the line that follows. You give me the line that follows,
sure.
Right? All right, good. I have to find one line where no got bad word or nothing explicit, right?
So
okay.
You're not telling me the song. You just
so yeah, no, I tell you the song.
Tell me the song.
So this one here, Bonnie and Shyne.
Okay.
Right? You still listen? You still listen?
I don't listen to my music.
You don't listen to your music?
No,
All right,
no.
you're like me. I don't really listen to my stories.
Yeah.
All right. So this one say, and this is a random part of the song. On the telephone, she heard my voice.
Told me to pick her up in my Rolls Royce.
All right, then this one you know, that's Gangsta. One there, right? 100 carats in the watch, that's Gangsta.
100 carats in the watch, that's Gangsta.
That second line kind of explicit, but.
Yeah, so I can't.
Oh yeah, all right. Make it go.
Another one.
That second line is very explicit. Yeah. I never read it. Balling out when you balling out when you locked. That's Gangsta.
Leaving your homie's commissary. Stop.
Actually, it's taking over spots and blocks. That's Gangsta.
All right.
Good?
All right, yeah.
All right, good. And so that's a challenge. The man not get any type of challenges there anywhere. You get it, yeah. Mr. Barrow, Shyne, you're taking over the King's Theatre in May 2nd.
Yes.
Huge deal.
Yes.
For Belizeans interested in the diaspora and at home, are tickets already on sale?
Yes, selling out. So a few tickets left. Go to ATG, King's Theatre.
All right.
And also we're doing the International Music Conference in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm taking Stick the Artist with me, being the keynote speaker, so that should be very exciting and a great opportunity for him to network and for us to talk about what is happening in the region.
And just so you're aware, we did see you at the Grammys. We can't help but see you because you're all over our social media pages.
And AFCA.
And at AFCA we saw you as well.
I presented an award.
With Ryan Cougar.
And the first thing I said was a warm Belizean
greeting. We saw that as well.
Always,
we can't help but seeing
Belize.
it. As soon as I scroll, everything that you're doing in the US is just right there.
Always Belize.
Congratulations on your success, and we wish you more going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. God bless everyone.
All right, so with that, we're going to take another break, and we will be right back with more Open Your Eyes. Stay tuned.
Man, that's me. My data and I really need to get my order out today.
Really? Well, you can join our smart group plan.
Really? How that works?
Easy, let me tell you.
Whether it's family, friends, or your small business, we've got the perfect plan for every group. More members equals more savings, more connections. Smart group plans bring the connectivity you love to you and your circle. No one gets left behind. Explore Share One package option and add on unlimited data, calls, and SMS for the entire group for less than $50 per member. Visit any Smart showroom countrywide or email sales@speednet-wireless.com to sign up today. Smart, bringing people together.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include cath lab, adult intensive care unit, neonatal intensive care unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Finally, a postpaid plan for 3 people. Introducing Smart Trio. Why pay for mobile service alone when you can share and save? Get unlimited national calls, text, plus 100 gigabytes of shared data. And the best part? It's only $135. That's right, as low as $45 per person. Perfect for small families, couples, or close friends. Smart Trio, 3 lines, 1 smart choice. Sign up now and you could win a Trio getaway to San Pedro for 3. Visit us at www.smart-bz.com for more information or sign up at any showroom today. Smart, bringing people together.
I crossed borders in Central America, searching for the stories behind the places we think we know. I'm Sabrina Daly, traveling as a Belizean, curious about the culture, the people, and the experiences that make each destination stand out. From the spirited landscapes of Honduras to the evolving heartbeat of El Salvador.
Go pupusas!
This journey explores what it really feels like to travel our region. This is Across Borders.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned with us. This conversation is all about leadership and mentorship, and we have joining us on set retired Brigadier General and independent consultant Earl Arthurs, as well as life coach Wayne Moody. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing this morning?
Very good. Good to be back in Belize.
Yourself?
I'm present.
You are present. I love that, because living in the moment means that you get to experience in full exactly what is in front of you, correct?
You know, sometimes the past, people are bringing the past, and sometimes people are running ahead of themselves in the future, and they miss the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in the moment, I can truly be as best as I could in this moment.
How important is good leadership in today's day and age, Mr. Arthurs?
Well, I think that leadership is what will make any country or any organization better. We need to groom our leaders from young, so they have vision and they are able to come up with ideas. I was talking outside about this sarcasm problem we're having, and we're saying that we shouldn't take this as a problem. We should find a solution how we could use it. And the people we need to use are the young people, the brightest people who are going to think outside of the box. So I believe that my leadership upbringing was through the military.
Right.
You know, I've been to Livingston, I've been to Camberley, Sandhurst, Fort Benning, a lot of places that actually teach you to lead soldiers. But what I've done over the years, over the last 21 years, is really to work with civilians in Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries, and also the SEDIMA system with 90 different countries, and inspire the young people, the bright young people, for them to lead. You know, and I started this when I was a young policeman in the police special force. I spent my first 5 years in the police special force and 20 in the Belize Defense Force. And from a young age, they send you off to do your potential NCO course, which teach you to be a leader. And as a leader, you're looking after 10 people.
Right.
And as you go up through the ranks, they teach you to look after 30 people. And then 100 people, then 300 people, then 1,000 people. And by that time, now you are able to think about how you're going to deal with any problems and how to solve different problems.
Now, when it comes to problem solving, Mr. Moody, it can be so challenging as a leader or as just anyone, because when you have a lot of problems stacking up against you, it's hard to look past problems to find solutions. What's your advice?
Well, you know, thinking outside the box is something that is definitely needed if you're going to have any kind of solution. Most people prefer to live in their comfort zone, and growth never occurs in your comfort zone. Even when you go to exercise, if you don't experience resistance, you're not going to grow. But today I can say that there are not many thinkers. Most people are just regurgitating other people's thoughts and not thinking. But you got to think for yourself, honestly. And the thing is, I do believe that in us are the solutions for whatever problems we're faced with. And one of the things that I learned from General is, especially as a manager, when subordinates would come with a problem, let them know that unless they bring at least 2 or 3 solutions, you don't want to hear it. Because they're there to think. They are the ones dealing with what they're dealing with. But so as far as thinking is concerned, we do have the capacity to think, because adversities come, and that's what it makes happen. We think. I mean, like, for example, COVID came.
Yeah.
And many people didn't know they could do what they did during COVID, but COVID had to come. And then they think. When COVID came for me, for example, I had just become a life coach. And we went into quarantine. And for me, that was the best thing that happened for me, because I knew that I had to be innovative. And when I was introduced to Zoom, I was scared at first. But a young person walked me through the process, and I started coaching all my clients virtually. But I had to think. You got to think.
Do you think, Mr. Arthurs, that as leaders, we sometimes undervalue or underappreciate the value of thinking, sitting down to think, because as leaders, there's so much demands for us to act?
Well, you know, I always explain to young leaders that your tool is not your hands. Your tool is your brain and the people that you have working for you. And one example I'll give you is, we had a corporal that was promoted to sergeant, and he was a hard-working guy. That's why he got promoted. You know, he wasn't a very good leader, but he was a hard-working guy, and in those days they promoted you for hard work, the old British system. And the guy worked for me, and I gave him a task, just back from Sandhurst. And so when I went out there, this guy was working real hard, and the men, they were watching him, because he came from Orange Walk, he knew to chop cane and stuff, and these guys were given cutlasses to cut, and these guys were pretending they're from Belize City and they can't cut. And so he was cutting, chopping, and I called him one side and sat him down and said, Sarge, listen to me good. Your tool is not a machete. Your tool are those 10 men out there. You could show them how to chop in about 2 minutes, and then you watch them chop the rest of the place. Don't chop the whole thing and show them how you could chop it better than them. So that's the way how you deal with leadership. You need to inspire people. You have to lead by example. Compulsion and persuasion is a combination of things. In the army, if you don't do it, I could punish you. That's a compulsion. If I want you to do it and work as a good team, I could persuade you to do it, and that's the best way. But you also have to show example. If the men are in the water, you can't stand on the dry land and say, right guys, let's go, dig in. You got to get in the water too, so they see that you're in the water with them.
Yeah.
Don't spend all the time in the water, we'll get in the water too. But you are a thinker. You are paid to think and plan and solve problems. Now you asked a question earlier about problem solving. I believe that this is something that is lacking. Children should be learning a lot about problem solving in the schools, you know. You see, when you give all the answers, or you could go and Google and find the answer, that don't help somebody to solve problems. And so when they get there and they don't have any tools that they could use to come up with the answer, they are stuck. They come back to you and say, sir, I can't do it. But problem solving is where you could sit down and you could analyze the problem and you could find innovative ways to solve the problem.
Like what Mr. Moody explained, thinking, like spending time to really think about and think for yourself and finding the solutions through thinking. So how are you gentlemen collaborating to bring these ideas in order to elevate the lives of those around us?
Well, it's a domino effect, because although we've not seen each other for over like 25 years, we see each other because virtually we meet.
Okay.
And Zoom.
Zoom.
Okay. Correct.
The same Zoom that I was afraid of. But he continues to pour into my life, and then I'm pouring into other people's lives, because I do believe leadership is like a relay. And it's like a relay, and I'm coming with the baton at warp speed, but I'm saying reach, but I expect you to take it and go faster than I'm coming. And any mentor, any leader that doesn't have a vision for those that he's leading to go beyond them, that's not a good leader. It's like a parent. You want your kids to go beyond where you were. None of my parents actually did high school. But I can tell you my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, they've gone beyond where our parents were. But again, it's realizing that where you are is not necessarily your destination. One of the things that I can say as a leader you can leave is a legacy. And legacy will be there after you're gone. And that's what you do, because when I think of General Lotters, even now as I'm doing what I'm doing, because he's my check, he's my balance. Because even coaches need coaches, even mentors need mentors.
Correct.
And the person that is coming is his mentor.
Speak about
this gentleman is my mentor, still my mentor right now, because having been in the military, a lot of time you undersell yourself. You're not aware of your worth. And he was the one who always checked me to tell me, General, you have multi-skills.
Who is that?
Jeremy Cullimore. Mr. Jeremy Cullimore was the person who brainchild for SEDERA, which was a Caribbean Disaster Emergency Response Agency. And he became the first director of that organization. And then it morphed into the present SEDEMA we have right now, which is a big regional organization, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. And he worked that for a few more years, and then he retired. And he became like advisor for University of West Indies for some of the hierarchy. And then now he is the chairman of the Disaster Risk Reduction Center for University of West Indies. So I worked with him when he was the head. Actually, he recruited me from Belize in 2005. And he gave me a 6 months contract in Barbados.
Nice.
And I'm still there.
You're still there 6 months later.
And since I retired, he has roped me in, because he wants me and him to work together. He and I are now partners doing consulting work. And he's well known in the region, because SEDEMA has now 20-something countries, and in my time it was 16.
So are you all planning to expose Belizeans to his leadership knowledge and skills?
I have invited him to come to Belize. So he's coming for vacation.
Right, that's what I gathered.
And when he come over for vacation, I will try to get him to meet with you guys, go on to Love and thing, and so take him to the different universities in Belize. Because the problem is that when I went to Sedima, I became the operation and training officer for the organization. And so I had to learn the British, the American, the Australian, the Canadian, all different disaster management systems. And we had to develop one specifically for the Caribbean, because we are different from them with kit equipment, mentality, and even only, I think, Indonesia and those countries around that area that have more disasters than us. We are very disaster prone. And so he was the one that I worked with, you know, and he had a vision. He's a good mentor. He's my mentor because I am a soldier. How I got into disaster management was that I was working as the military advisor and the chief of staff in the Ministry of National Security in 1990 to 1993, December. And George Price went to, the Right Honorable George Price went to a CARICOM meeting in 1990, and they said they would start this CEDERA. And he came to me and he said, oh, by the way, you are going to be my point man for CEDERA. So I said, what's that? And he explained to me. He said, they deal with disasters and things, and they want to do it for the region. I said, but sir, I know nothing about disaster. He said, you know about war? I said, yes, sir. He said, you study for war? I said, yes, sir. He said, war is the biggest disaster. And that's how I became the point man. So from 1990, I met this man, Jeremy Collymore, before there was anything, and we started to brainstorm. Then I became a member of the board of directors until 1994. And then I went over to take over the army in 1994.
One of the things I'm taking away from this conversation is the importance of mentorship.
Yes.
And the fact that...
And the levels.
Yes, and the levels, and that you're never too young or too old.
That's right.
To have a mentor, because
That's
you
right.
reach a certain age and some people feel like, well, I don't know it all, man.
No.
But for you to say you have a mentor, for Mr. Moody to say
and I'm his
you're
mentor.
his mentor,
Yeah.
It shows that
Different levels.
Is super important in
Different
life.
levels.
Now I have to ask for those interested in tapping into your particular set of skills, how do they reach out to you, Mr. Moody, Mr. Arters?
Well, right now I think most people know I'm back home and I'm home for good.
You are.
This is my
you
last
mentor a lot
part.
of people I know as well.
I mean, I can list the people that I've mentored, from people like the Minister of Tourism to Charlie Slusher, football, these students that I taught. Even the students that I'm currently working with at the Anglican Cathedral College, and again, people that I'm coaching in Belize. So Wayne Life Coaching Limited is my company. I also provide services that is pro bono, because I teach and I coach not so much to be paid, but I teach and I coach so I'm paid. Like I go to the students today at ACC, first and second farmers, and then third and fourth farmers on Thursday, and you can reach me at 656-0501 WhatsApp, and I have an open door. But I say there are two things with what I do. I don't work with no, and once I work with you and I coach you, I'm your coach for life. That's my disclaimer. I don't work with no, because if you say no, I just know I'm not working with you.
Correct.
But if I'm working with you, I'll be with you forever. And along that line, I tell you, my first client is Dr. Highshaw. He's in California. He's now the head of the Social Work Association in California and Hawaii. He's coming to Belize later this year. And I would like to connect him with, let's say, social workers in Belize.
Right.
I mean, the areas of coaching that I've done vary, whether it be entrepreneurs, retirees, because we all have purpose. And as long as we're here, we need to coach and we need to be coached. So,
gentlemen, we are out of time for this conversation, and so I want to thank you both so much. Can we get your contact in case people want to tap into your skills?
Well, I am on Facebook. I'm Earl Arters, and also I have my WhatsApp. It's a Barbados number, 246-250-9322.
Nice.
Yeah, and but you contact Mr. Moody.
Yeah, and
you contact Mr. Nouri Mohammed. What happened is I maintain contact, then I have a brother, Lieutenant Colonel Arters.
Okay.
He's a pastor. He and his wife, and they also, and then I have a brother, George Arters in Belmopan that I stay with sometime. He will get it to me, and then Silburn Arters, my next brother. Yeah,
Mr. Silburn is your brother.
Yes,
that's my good
and
friend.
they are my link back to Belize, and I try to come back I just want one thing before I go off. I work closely with Nemo.
I would imagine
Captain
so.
Daniel Mendes, right now working with Sedima and the University of West Indies. Over the last 2 years, we are working on their work plan, the country work program, which is a 5-year work program. And he's doing a good job. I've actually sat down with him and his team and, talked to them about the early days of our of Nemo and, and what Sedima does for Nemo and so. But he's doing a good job. I have been here in 2024 for 2 weeks with him, and I came back again in 25 for a few days. So my connection with Nemo is still there. I started Nemo in 1999.
Wow.
And I'm still interested. I mean, they still have some of the things that I put there in 99 going.
That's still existing.
Like the logo and things like that.
Yes.
Still.
All right, maybe it's time for some revamping, right?
Yes, man.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you both so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure
Yeah, sure.
to be in your presence. I truly appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, so with that, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we have one final conversation. So don't go anywhere, and then we'll wrap this show up. Stay tuned.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
In the heart of the Kayo district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easier for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
February is all about Honda. Get special pricing and discounts on all Honda products. Enjoy up to 25% off select Honda products and 20% off Honda parts. Don't forget your B-Bucks whenever you make a purchase. Love your Honda is all about deals and discounts on Honda products throughout the month of February. Only at Banquet Equipment Parts Service.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. This is our final conversation for this morning, and it's a pleasure to have on set founder and executive director of Sea of Life, Ms. Paulita Bennett Martin. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you. I've been seeing your face all over, like I was telling you, in the news, and so it's good to have you here in person to talk a bit about the 2025 Belize TrashBlitz report. Tell us, for those who are not familiar with the objective of this report.
Absolutely. So the TrashBlitz report is national data on what we are finding in waste and litter streams. So we work with community members, we train them on citizen science approaches, so that part of this is about collecting the data, creating knowledge at a national scale, but another part of this is empowering local people with knowledge about what's happening in the waste and litter streams, and also educating them a bit more deeply on plastics and all the different types of plastics that there are.
What has been the reception to what the report is presenting?
I think a lot of people are they see that the issue, that we have a lot of litter, they see that plastics is predominantly an issue. I think that's what's interesting is popping up is more people are voicing their clear frustrations with certain types of single-use plastics, right? Specifically the shilling water, it comes up all the time. Do we really need this product? It's littering the waterways, it's littering our community streets, it's everywhere. And so I think that the reception is that more people are interested in becoming part of TrashBlitz. This year, we count over 600 people having participated in this across the country. Every audit gets bigger. More schools reach out to do audits on their campuses. More community groups are saying, can we partner on doing a TrashBlitz here at this location that we all hang out in our village or town? So more people want to participate. More people are empowered with the knowledge, and more people are having conversations where it's leading to solutions and ideas for what they want to see in their local community.
What's a TrashBlitz?
TrashBlitz is where we take the waste, right, and we sort it very systematically. We pour everything out. It's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it.
From the moment you said take the waste, I'm like, all right, where are we taking the waste?
We take it to tarps so that we prevent the waste from, if there's smaller pieces, from it just being left on the ground. So we big tarps in the area, we pour everything out, and then we separate by item first, because it's easiest for people to identify whether it's a bottle or a fork or a bag, right? So we create these piles, then we start to separate by brand, because we want to identify what are the brands that we're seeing. Are they local brands? Are they foreign brands? And then when it comes to plastics specifically, we also then identify whether it's plastics number one, is it polystyrene versus low density plastics. So we're really doing a deep dive into what we're finding, and that can be helpful to waste managers as well, because there are certain products that are recyclable, right? So if waste managers know that we have this much waste in general, then they can get an idea of what sorts of materials are available on the market for their recycling purposes. But it also allows for us to see what the real problem items are, and then start to look at, well, how can we phase out these items from our local, lifestyle?
What does the report say are the real problem items here in Belize?
Bottles, single-use bottles of all sorts, bags, plastic bags continue to be an issue. Shilling water pouches continue to be an issue. It's mostly single-use items. It's mostly those things that you get, you use one time, and then you dash them away.
Why target plastic?
Well, plastics has a cycle to it that creates negative impacts all along, from pre-production all the way to when it becomes waste. Our reliance on plastic means that we're relying on petroleum and fossil fuel-based industries. So there's a cost to plastics from the point of pre-production, and then during production it's a heavy industry because you're having to heat up these toxic materials to create bags or polystyrene containers. And then once it's done, it goes into our streets and into our waterways. And while people say, well, it'll break down, right? It doesn't really break down, it breaks up. And then it becomes microplastics. And now the medical field is discovering more and more every day how much microplastics is inside of us. It's been found in almost all of our organs, including our brain. Plastics are made with chemicals that are endocrine disruptors. And so when you think about the volume that we use plastics at, it touches almost every element of our life. We use it in the kitchen, we use it for our lunch every day, we use it to drink from. You start to really consider what is the impact and connection with this material and these chemicals to my own health. It's in our fish, it's being found in the tissue of commonly eaten seafood. So we really, that's the issue with plastics. It's a problem all across, not just litter. It starts from the point when we extract the fossil fuels to make the product. It starts when we use fresh water supplies to also make the products, right? And so we really need to think about plastic has its use, but the use of it being applied to single-use products is where the problem starts, because you're creating these products that last a lifetime. They last longer than us. Our lifetime might be 75 years, okay? But then how come a bag or a bottle gets made and it gets to live for 500 years? I would rather live for 500 years than have that plastic bag or bottle live. So these are the things we need to think about. It's a deeper issue than just the litter.
Why do you think government policy isn't as effective as it maybe can be, or as we've seen it be in other parts of the world where plastic is concerned?
I think that being able to implement policy means that you have a lot resources to do so, and we often don't have a lot of resources in Belize to get things accomplished. I think that the government, the Department of Environment, has laid out what they want in the law, and it's clear, and I believe that we are all part of the implementation of those laws. So that is the business sector stepping up. They have huge power in this country to do the right thing and to rethink how we are in Belize with waste and with our use of plastics. And I think individuals also play a role as well.
Now, does the report give recommendations?
Yes.
And what are a couple of the key recommendations made?
Okay, so based on our findings, because bags remain in the top, we suggest a full ban on plastic bags, and the reason is, and bags are included in the national policy as well. The reason is because we know what the alternative is. It's not a mystery. It's carrying a cotton tote bag with you. It's bringing your own whatever container you want to use. We've done it before. We've done it in our own lifetime, and we can do it again. So that's one thing where, and I know that people may make an argument of, well, what about people that can't afford a tote bag? Tote bags are given out now at so many places. You could even make a tote bag from an old t-shirt. Let's be real about it. So I think banning bags is one step where we know what the solution is, and it won't shatter the market, okay? Number two, I think that we need to invest more in citizen science and national data collection, because we really need to know what's happening with the waste breakdown and how it's impacting our environment, right? We're doing all this incredible work, Ministry of Blue Economy, for instance, to protect these marine ecosystems. But what do we know about microplastics in mangroves? We know that they disrupt the uptake of nutrients, but we don't know how many microplastics are there yet. So we need to work with our peers and really create data. And then number three, it's my favorite, it's a clear solution: increase the use of refillable water stations. Refillable, come on, it's so simple. We know how to refill, we do it at home. Well, let's get refill in school systems. Let's get refill in our government buildings. Let's get it into large-scale business centers, right? Because you think about one school, the size of 650 students creates the demand for almost 230,000 single-use plastic waters a year. So when you think about refill, that can be transformative as far as reducing the plastics, but not just reducing the plastics. Refill is cheaper. So if you're paying at your school a $15 water fee per year, let's say, right? Well, that cuts your expenses down for the year by over $320, because you know you're buying water every day, at least $1 or $2 worth of water a day. So if you can spend 15 or 20 for the whole year, that's transformative for your pocket.
Indeed. Yes. So, and I really love those recommendations, and I think they're practical, they're doable, and they're present a way not only for the government to participate, but for private sector and individual citizens to participate as well in bringing a solution to this problem. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate those. You brought a product for us to take a look at.
Okay, well, this is for you.
This is for me.
But
okay.
I like to. We Sea of Life likes to invest in small local Belizean businesses that are doing nature-based products. This is DML straws,
a bamboo straw,
and they're bamboo, and it's a whole set, and it comes with cleaners and everything. You can have these customized. There you go. Instead of a plastic straw, you have this really sexy bamboo natural.
Oh, look at
but
that!
It's more than just the straw. It's the fact that when you think, and I didn't bring it. In Belize, we've innovated with nature for decades, for centuries. Like, you know, it's. I was carrying around a Kiss Kiss yesterday, you know what, okay? And how many people stopped and said, I haven't seen one of those in forever. It's nature. We made it. We don't have to produce anything in a factory. Someone's making money by creating nature-based products. Let's go back there.
This is a straw for every occasion.
It is. And then, you know, you don't need a fancy Yeti. I just happen to be lucky to have this one. But like any bottle from your house, a mason jar, take it with you. Ask the restaurant when you're eating out, can you just fill me up from the 5-gallon that you have back there rather than pay for $1.25 or $2 for each bottle?
All right.
You know, so those are just some practical ways to shift away from the plastics.
All right, so there you heard it from the executive director at Sea of Life. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been such a pleasure hanging out with you for this brief
You too.
moment. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap this show up for this morning. It's Tuesday, February 17th. It's been a great one. If you have a birthday, if you're celebrating a birthday this morning, we'd like to say happy birthday to you. But if you also have a birthday shout out, questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email, and that email will pop up right there in just a moment. It's oie@greaterbelize.com. You can also catch us live on Facebook every weekday morning at Open Your Eyes BC, or Instagram for all the behind the scenes highlight at OYE Belize. You can even call or text us. Our phone number is 675-2555. But folks, please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow, Wednesday the 18th, when you open your eyes and start your morning right. But until then, be sure to keep your eyes, your minds, and your hearts wide open. See you tomorrow. Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.